Uh, well, I hadn't been home long. I did stayed with an old couple in BB last night. Let their lady have a night off.
Mm. Well, I was just wanting to know what happened that night you were trying to call Moni back.
Oh well, she have you talked to her?
No,
She
I.
just said it was the worst thing. She said of my.
Mm,
Now, of course, she would say that. She said of my whole life, it was the
mm,
worst thing she'd ever been through.
mm,
She said when it all started out, Kathleen told her she could never come back to Dallas again. That she was going to have all her records sent over there,
mm,
and she said just had her in turmoil. And she said then after she knew they was going to get that thing back, he did say he would send it back. That he agreed that he would. She said that when her line was busy, it was that. Oh, I can't even think of their name.
Giddens.
The couple that lives next door, the
Oh,
Walker couple,
Diane and
Dinah.
Dinah.
It was Dinah calling and saying that because they had said that her and Ned would get that he would take it to them, and they was the ones that it really belonged to because Ned had paid for it and put it there, and Moni had told them they could have it all the years when she died. So Dinah called and said, every time she looked at it, she'd think of what all they'd been through over it, and she just didn't think she wanted it. Moni told her that, and with Kathleen saying it was hers too, and Moni told her to forget all that and take it because she didn't want it back either. So
Mm.
after they'd been through all that, so when Kathleen knew they was going to get it back, she was telling Moni she couldn't wait for her to get her next visit and all that. So I just, I never did agree with Kathleen or say anything about. I got in between them one time, back
Mm.
that time years ago when I was visiting and took Aunt Savannah up there, and Moni said something to Aunt Savannah that caused a whole family thing, and Kathleen called me and asked me what happened, and I told her exactly what happened, and she called Moni and, told her what I'd said, and Moni had disputed that was the way it really happened, and I got caught between them two one
Mm.
time like that. So this time I didn't. So I just, listened to her and told her I understood how she felt and everything.
Yeah.
I didn't agree with her about anything or disagree, except that I told her that, she had two options, to forget about it or there was nothing wrong. I said, I don't see anything wrong with you calling him and telling him that it had already been promised to someone else and to bring it back.
Mm.
But she did more than that. She, threatened to sue.
Oh my God.
Moni said she threatened to call the law on him.
For what? I don't
Well, she was
understand
going
all.
to have him arrested or something for stealing from an sick old woman. Moni said that Mary Giddens told Moni that Kathleen told Mary Giddens that Moni wasn't in her right mind. She said she's even told my neighbors that I'd lost my mind.
Oh my God.
She said it was the worst thing she'd ever been through in her life.
Mm.
So I don't know.
Well, I would not want to go to Dallas again if I was her.
I know it, but she's just, that's her way she gets her medicine. She takes that cancer medicine that's $100 a month. Well, they get it free for her there at that hospital. She applied for it, and they get it for her and give her like a 3-month supply at a time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she is really dependent. I don't know if she could get that kind of care and all in Shreveport if anybody would even take her to a doctor.
I doubt it.
She gets they prescribe her diabetes medicine. They've kept that under control. I don't know. Poor thing.
Well,
but she went on to say that Giddens boy had like 3 wives, and he come in there one time and said he used to have a pie safe like that, but that one of the wives had gotten it.
Mm-hmm.
Kept asking her for everything, Well, I won't. She said he'd come in there and gathered up stuff out of the yard before, stuff that, asked her for this or that. He took that bookcase out of the living room, that antique bookcase. He'd already taken that, and asked her for that inlaid table. So he was really cleaning her out.
Oh, I didn't know all that. Well, I'm glad it's over.
Oh, God, I know it.
Yeah, and Bibi just called. They came yesterday afternoon about 4:30 or 5. They just gotten in from Gatlinburg, and so they came here first before they went to Jerry's, and we thoroughly enjoyed their visit.
Oh, well, good.
I just love Dr. Islam.
Oh, well, I've met him a couple. Bibi kept wanting me to come to work over there, but she tells such horror stories. I thought I'd be a fool.
Oh, I just love him.
To get over there and get mixed up in all that went on. But.
He's going to move here. And he said she was out on the balcony smoking. He said, I can't find another Billy. I said, I can't make it without a Billy.
She's run their whole family. She's run their family.
Yeah, I said, she's like a mother to me and a grandmother to my child.
Uh-huh.
So he's all, I told her, I said, I feel like he's family, the way he acts, and it just feels like he
And
is.
one time he got her and Jean in the car and took them to see about Randy. One time when they was worried about Randy, and he just drove them over there.
I didn't know that.
Stayed and come back. He's done. They've done a lot for him, but he must have paid her well through the years.
Well, I think, didn't he put a new motor in their car?
He's done a lot for them. They bought TV and VCRs, and I've done. That he's done a lot.
Yeah. Well, she just called. They were fixing to leave. Jerry's on their way out. So, and he left a copy of his book and signed it to me and Mark.
Well, how in the world did they find you again? Did she was able to find you?
Well, they get off on the Brentwood exit. There's an A and a B, and one takes them to Jerry's and one takes them to this. It's that straight shot between me and Jerry.
Yeah.
But they did get lost. They went all the way to Jerry's and it turned around at the bottom of his driveway and went to the Shell station and called both of us, Jerry and me. And anyway, when they got here, they was about in a fight. They were laughing because she was telling Jerry that he was lost as a goose. He said, "Don't tell people I'm a goose."
Well, what kind of car was he driving?
A Lexus. So.
Well, he must make a bunch of money doing whatever he does. I don't know if his book. I've got that first book about panic disorders.
Yeah, I read it this morning. I didn't read it last time because it didn't seem interesting. But after I read it this time, I'm all in there. But the only thing that bothers me is I wish he needs to call it something besides panic attack or panic this or that, because it's not in correlation to what he's trying to convey, that it's a chemical imbalance that causes the body to react in different ways. If he could come up with another term, he may have something. Yeah. But panic attack sounds too frivolous for the seriousness to me of what's going on.
It's a real physical thing, and people don't want to think people don't want to believe it's a panic attack when they have all these real live symptoms that go with it.
Well, that's what I'm going to tell him. That if he can come up with his own term for that, I think he'll be on to something. Because do you agree that panic attack sounds too frivolous?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like making light of the seriousness of it, to me. But
nobody wants to go in and have all these physical symptoms, and they used to say it's your nerves, and everybody would just get so mad they'd just be ready to fight the doctor.
Yeah.
And then they started calling it anxiety, and then they called it panic attacks. But it's a real malady,
Yeah. Yeah. So I believe what he's...
Just like that fibromyalgia, they want to make... that causes people a lot of pain. But they say it's not an authentic diagnosis, fibromyalgia.
Well, I believe what he's trying to get at, but I just think...
Well, another thing I know, Timmy was questioning me closely about where that place is, and I've forgotten.
What place?
The town where we had that cabin for Thanksgiving.
You mean Tim's Ford or Montgomery Bell?
All right, Montgomery Bell. I couldn't...
It's actually in Burns, Tennessee, but it's...
Well, he was asking me, would he have to drive further than he did for Tim's Ford? And I said, not.
No. Well, no, just a little bit shorter because... No. It's... No. It won't be any further, no.
Okay.
He's just going to take He's just going to get... When he comes into Nashville, he's going to take 40 Memphis instead of going 65 south. 40 west to Memphis.
Okay.
And
we'll have to get him a detailed map. He can't read a map. He's a kid that can work any kind of computer or anything. He can write a program for a computer, and he can't read a map. So anyway.
Well, Mark and I've already discussed that we need to do a map for.
And he said that he probably would get. He said, "How am I going to be finding something in the dark? I can just see myself." Because he said definitely he would have to. Couldn't get off the half a day Wednesday like he had before. He'll be on that new job.
Okay, so they'll be coming Thursday? What?
Right, Wednesday night. We'll all get there late Wednesday night.
Oh, good. Okay, well, we'll figure out the best route in the dark.
Or I guess they might come early, but they're not the kind to get up early. So I think they'll come Wednesday night.
Yeah, that would be good. Well, the camcorder is ruined.
Oh.
They said it would cost more to fix it than it was worth, about $700. So I was heartsick about that. So, but anyway, I found a place to take the film that came out of it to get them to transfer it to VCR tape because they told me that it might damage a camera if you played it in there because it had trash and stuff in it from the river. So, but I thought for $25 we're going to get it. This other place said they could clean it before they transfer it. So I said, okay, just it's worth it to me to get to see the film.
Yeah.
So I'll probably end up with another.
They won't have any. There's no way of getting any help with. I mean, like they're not going to pay for it. I mean,
No, he said it. I said, well, no. He said it only covers manufacturer's defects, not getting it wet. So, we're without a camcorder, but I imagine by the time Thanksgiving gets here, I'll end up going and getting another one. Because we've thoroughly enjoyed the film. Yeah. It's just too enjoyable to be able to watch it, you know. So I'll probably end up going and getting another.
I always, all the kids was at home, I always wished we had one to take to family, but we're just me and Ting. I never think there's anything to film, you know.
Well, anyway, I think it's
nice having one in the family.
Yeah. See, Mike called Thursday evening. I was getting so predictable on calling him once a month. I said, well, I'm not going to do it this month. And I just, sometimes I'm not sure if he wants to hear from me or not. Sometimes he sounds like he is, and sometimes he sounds like I'm, indifferent or something. So I didn't call, and so he ended up calling Thursday and said, well, I hadn't heard from you. So that always makes me feel good when he takes initiative to call.
Well, like grown boys, or like I told one of my patients she was talking about her son. I said, I never knew what to do with mine after they got grown up. They're precious when they're little. And she said, well, boys, you have to just mostly let them be themselves. You can't predict what they'll do.
And I also told him, I said, when we first started talking, I told you someday I'd like to thank your parents. And I said, do you think that would be possible for me to send them a card, or how do you feel about that? And he said, well, I don't know. I haven't talked to them much about it. And he's hem-hawed and stammered, and I said, well, it's whatever you think, if I have your permission. He said, well, I better ask him first, or, I said, okay, it's however you feel about it. I said, we're all adults in this, and I just feel like I want to make that contact with them. And he said, well, I would want to do the same thing. And I said, you would? He said, yeah. And I said, like Mother's Day, I would like to send her a card because she's special to me.
Well, I'll tell you, they're my heroes. If I don't ever have any other heroes in this life, they are my heroes. But anyway.
So he said he would ask, and it's just something I feel like I need for them to know that. I mean, it's all good feelings. I mean, some.
Well, I felt nothing but appreciation.
Well, me too. So, I know there's feelings on their side too, like, and I wrote a poem for him, and I would like to send it to him. And it's just I want to make that circle connect. So he said he would ask, and
Well,
he,
that's good.
he
I
was,
thought about, I prayed for them.
yeah.
Appreciate, thank God for them and everything through the years. So,
Did I tell you that they had a daughter that died
oh,
when she was 7?
mm-mm.
A brain tumor. I didn't know that till he was here, and said when she died or was dying, he was in military school because he was such a problem. He was 14, and they he flew home with some of his dad's geologist friends on a private plane, and said they threw all the money they had into it to try to save her, and she died.
When she was how old?
7.
And he was 14.
Yeah.
So when he was 7, they had another baby.
Yeah. So anyway, so they've had tragedy. But anyway, um I don't know how that'll work out, but he sounded in good spirits. So, and I told him that there were people in the family that wanted to meet him, and I told him that last time I told him that it kind of pissed me off because he had a bad attitude, and he said, "Well, I'm indifferent on that right now," and I guess that's why I was trying not to call him again to see if he was gonna call, because sometimes he can act kind of shitty, but not real shitty.
Yeah, well, it's just probably a lot of it is it's just everything had coming together and all, and men are like that.
Yes, but
Everybody reacts differently to even a girl. I probably might.
I would imagine anybody that was given up for adoption has got bad feelings that they either deal with or they don't deal with them.
Yeah.
And he says he was never angry, but actions speak louder than words. I think he's ignoring the feelings he needs to be dealing with.
Yeah.
So, anyway, and Bibby, if he really is indifferent, I think it's because he doesn't know any of us really. Like he and I are just getting to know each other. Because when he was here, the brief little talk we had, he said, "We're strangers." I said, "Yes, we're strangers, but with a connection." And I think he needs to, personally, I think he needs to start hearing from the people in the family that are sincere and want to know him. Like Bibby said, she was going to write a letter and send it to me for me to send to him. I mean, if you want to do the same thing, I think it would start helping him know that it's real, a reality that
He's a part of us.
yeah, he needs to hear it, and read it and know it, and maybe that would help bring his feelings out, that he is part
And I think he's dealing with some guilt feelings about putting his parents through.
Oh, he said, he told me a couple of months after I found him that I think he realized that after I found him. He called and apologized to them for being such a pill. So, but
I'm telling you, there's hardly ever any parent that don't go through something like that with their children.
Well, that's what Bibby said.
Adopted or not adopted.
I mean, look at Randy.
And our children, we never sent them off to military school or nothing because we didn't have the money to do it. We just struggled and tried to, kept. And I have a lot, I just live with. I have to really work through, such remorse and torment about, thinking that I, ruined my children's lives.
Well, I don't think you did. I thought I did that to Mark, and like I told you, he said he thought he had a happy childhood.
Well, they tell me that, but I really failed him. I was so intent on, I needed to work. I just had those jobs that just run the life out of me. But, I could never have lived like the Morrisons did. I could never have not
I couldn't either.
worked and tried to provide for my children anyway.
Uh-uh.
I didn't. Me and Ting, neither one are good managers. You have to be a good manager, and we never knew. Now you're a good manager, Charlotte, but it seems like we just never could manage it.
Well,
But anyway, I just worked so much all the time that I really.
well, I tell you, I think it's things they laugh about. And I credit y'all with giving Mark vacations and things, so.
I know it, but I was always so mad, yelling at him.
Yeah, but they laugh about it now, so it couldn't have been too traumatic.
I know they do laugh about it, but I think I scarred them. And I was always, I'd get them to one of them parks and then abuse them, smash them around.
Well, Thanksgiving, we need to have a group therapy session and everybody tell their true feelings, and maybe you can get over the remorse.
That last time I went out there and I told Mark not to go to that water slide thing and he didn't want to wear undershirt. He wanted to swim in just his trunks. And I said, if you get blistered, that's going to be all she wrote. And he got blistered.
He always got blistered with y'all, and I would get.
He was trying to hide it from me, and
Because I would get mad and throw a fit when he would come home blistered.
Well, we almost killed him that time in Mississippi. He had big old water things on him, and I never did know what to do except to spray, get that stuff from the hospital.
Well, see, I did the same thing. I would blister and get those big old water things that would start running, and it was just awful. So, no, it's stuff, if it was traumatic, you don't laugh about it. So,
that's just like all the stuff we laughed at about my mother, all the stuff that she would do to us, like biting her tongue and beating the heck out of me. She would just beat the heck out of me and slap me upside the head with whatever she's cooking, with a spoon, whatever. And I laughed about it later, and she always said that it hurt the mother more than it did the child or something like that. She used to beat me and Bubba. I mean, beat us.
Oh, I didn't know
He
that.
would run. And I was too scared to run, and she'd be over at Mansfield by the time he got back, so he never got a whipping, but I was always too scared to run, and I'd just go take it.
I didn't know that. I just remember her running me through the house, and one time with a broom, and you in front, and you finally went through one of the doors and shut it, and she caught me.
And Daddy, he used to, oh, God, he whipped me and Bubba with whatever. He took us out there to the bus one morning, and we got in a fight in the car, and he just took us back and just took some bridle reins or something down, and we didn't even go to school that day. I remember he left marks on us, and Mama would get us up in her lap, and we'd show her our whelps all over us. He hated us fighting, and we'd no sooner get to the end of the road than me and Barbara would be in the back seat fighting like cats and dogs, and he'd stop the car and whip us every time.
Oh, my God. I didn't know all that.
I can remember how we fought. And they said that when Grandpa used to see us coming up the road, say, oh, God, here comes Eva and them two kids, because we was so bad.
I just remember at the supper table, if you were eating, you couldn't talk or laugh or anything.
Daddy would kick us under the table if somebody was there and we said something. He'd kick. I got kicked to him many a time. He'd just kick me.
Oh, I remember he threw a tuna fish sandwich in your face one time.
He did. One time I was giggling. I wouldn't stop. Daddy must have been a bundle of nerves or something. We all had them sandwiches. And
on Sundays, there would be a pile of them in those.
A whole pile of sandwiches, and I would giggle and I wouldn't. And he kept saying, "Stop it," and I wouldn't stop. And he hit me in the face with a sandwich. And I said, "Oh, Mom, I still remember that like it was yesterday." And I said, "Mom, I just washed my hair and it got tuna fish in it."
Well, oh my God. Well.
Oh well, so much for that.
Yeah. So.
I mean, we laugh about that now. It's a good day. So.
But anyway, I wanted you to know that if you wanted to write to Michael, and Bibby's going to, and I imagine Mommy would want to, I think it will help him realize that he is part of our family. Because I think he just feels kind of in between now.
I'm sure he does, and there must be a way if he could talk with other people that have found, their birth families, if there was a way to make a place for both.
Well, I think the people he talked to before we found each other, he told me several people, because there's other people in the family that's adopted, cousins and things, that most of them have negative feelings about finding their birth parents. And one guy in particular, I think back in Lafayette, is a friend of his, and he said he's real negative about it. And one time the guy said, well, let me tell you. And Mike said, no, don't tell me.
Well, they tell me that men are usually are. Now, that's what my friend Jo said, because her son-in-law, but that's the only thing she based it on, was him. He was adopted, and he never did want to find his, would never let the records be opened or anything where anybody could find him or didn't want to be found. And so on that assumption, she said that men are usually different.
Well, I think it's an individual thing. That's what I told Mike. He said, well, I don't know what the protocol is. He got real nervous when I wanted to contact his mother. I said, there is no right or wrong. It's how all the individuals involved feel.
And so just let it take time, I think, is the main thing in this. It's just you made a suggestion and then just wait and let him make the next move on it. It just takes time.
Because there were two grown men at that meeting I've only been to twice. And that's what made me know the difference in how Mike is acting and how it can be at its very best. They both found their mothers, and the mother and the son were there together. They've lived here in Nashville all these years, and he just now recently found her. And I mean, the son and the mother both lived here. And then the other one found his mother in another state close enough to, it's not too far, maybe Kentucky or North Carolina. And I mean, they have a great relationship. And he just goes and calls and visits. And then I realized that the way Mike is acting, it kind of pissed me off, because he's kind of like holding me at arm's length and kind of making me beg, so to speak, for whatever crumbs he wants to throw me, and that's what made me realize. So I just was determined I was not going to call this month, and so he ended up calling me. So he wants the relationship, but he also wants to make me pay, I think, because before he came here, he was getting nervous about that actual moment when we met, and he was trying to figure out how he wanted it to be. And then he said he talked with his wife about it and told her that he didn't have any right to want to make me jump through hoops. So there's some bitterness there that he's not realizing. He's not dealing with it, honestly. So, but I think hearing from the family will help him.
Well, I'll write a letter and send it to you.
So I think that'll help him.
Well, I guess I better go, because I wanted to go to church
Okay.
this morning, and I need to buzz on over there.
Well,
Ting told me you called, and when I got in about 8:30, and I went and got a paper and all.
Yeah. I'll be making y'all a map and to tell you which exit to take, and Tim, we'll figure out the best one in the dark.
Okay. And we can just plan on if Moni can come. If she can't, we can go get down and get her one day. If she can come the next weekend, we can go get her the weekend before.
Yeah, we'll figure something out. But yeah, I'm looking forward.
I'm sure she'll tell you the whole story.
Yeah, but I wanted to hear it from you before.
Yeah, with her and Kathleen is back in good graces again. Kathleen got that thing. She got it back, and even though she's not going to get it, she just didn't want. Once she found out Moni had really given it to Ned and Dinah through the years. So,
Well, I'm fixing to call.
But I don't get in between them two.
No more?
No more, because they do. They stick to. I know one time Aunt Catherine used to say that about Mother. I'd take Mother's side for against with somebody, and she'd say, "Oh, they're shitting through the same quill again," or something like that. You can't get in between them two. They're shitting through the same quill. Well, I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.